My dear friends, after the age of 60, our hearts have already carried us through millions of beats, countless joys, and also many worries. We know that heart disease is the leading cause of death in America, yet so many of us feel powerless against it. Too often, we believe that only expensive medicines or complicated treatments can keep our heart safe. But let me share something that science has proven, and something that gives us real hope. The foods we place on our plates every single day can be one of the most powerful shields for our hearts. In fact, research shows that eating the right vegetables and natural foods can lower blood pressure, reduce cholesterol, and even cut the risk of heart attack or stroke by significant percentages. This means that each bite is not just a meal, it's a choice between fear and peace of mind, between sickness and strength. Today, I want to take you on a gentle but powerful journey through 7 humble vegetables. They may look simple, but together, they carry the strength to protect your heart, extend your years, and bring more joy into the time you share with children and grandchildren. And I want you to feel encouraged, not overwhelmed. Because the truth is, you don't need to spend thousands of dollars or travel to faraway hospitals to keep your heart strong. Sometimes, the answer is right in your kitchen, waiting to be embraced. So let's begin this journey together. And as we go through each vegetable, keep in mind, every small change we make in our diet could be the very decision that gives us more mornings to wake up with energy, more evenings to sit around the table with family, and more years of life to live fully and joyfully. Let me start with something simple, something you probably already have sitting in your kitchen right now, the humble tomato. At first glance, a tomato might seem like just another ingredient for soups or salads. But in truth, it is a heart-protective superfood, a gift from nature that can quietly guard our arteries and help our hearts keep beating strong. The secret lies in a powerful compound called lycopene, the pigment that gives tomatoes their deep red color. Science has shown that lycopene is more than just color. It is a potent antioxidant that protects our blood vessels from the damage caused by free radicals. When arteries are damaged, they become stiff and narrow, leading to high blood pressure and eventually heart disease. But when we regularly consume tomatoes, we provide our bodies with a natural defense system against this silent process. In fact, a meta-analysis published in Critical Reviews in Food Science and Nutrition 2019 found that people with the highest intake of lycopene had a 26% lower risk of stroke compared to those with the lowest intake. That's not a small number. It's a difference that could mean one more morning waking up beside your loved one, one more family gathering, or one more chance to play with your grandchildren. Now, here's something I want you to hold on to. Unlike some nutrients that are lost when cooked, lycopene becomes even more available to the body when tomatoes are prepared in sauces or soups. That means your favorite bowl of tomato soup or a simple pasta with tomato sauce isn't just comfort food. It's medicine for the heart disguised as a delicious meal. Each slice of tomato on your sandwich, each spoonful of tomato stew, is like adding another layer of protection around your heart. Small, simple, but powerful. I've seen too many patients regret not making small changes earlier. They tell me, "Doctor, if only I had known sooner, maybe I wouldn't be on so many pills today." And that's why I'm telling you now. Don't wait until the damage is done. The choice is right in front of you, in the grocery aisle, in the kitchen, even in your own garden. So the next time you see those bright red tomatoes, don't just think of them as garnish. Think of them as a quiet promise that with each bite, you're giving your heart the strength it needs to keep you living not just longer, but better. Now, let's turn to something as green and vibrant as life itself: spinach. For many of us, spinach might just be another leafy green on the plate, but in reality, it is one of the most powerful foods we can eat for the heart. What makes spinach so special is its rich nitrate content.
When we eat spinach, these natural nitrates are converted inside our bodies into nitric oxide, a molecule that helps blood vessels relax and open wider. This means blood can flow more freely, blood pressure goes down, and the heart doesn't have to struggle so hard to push blood through stiff arteries. For someone over 60, this can be the difference between waking up refreshed or waking up tired and worried about your heart. And science confirms this. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition Research showed that people who ate spinach regularly had significant reductions in both systolic and diastolic blood pressure. But spinach doesn't stop there. It is also packed with potassium, a mineral that helps counter the harmful effects of sodium. Many of us grew up in a world where salt was added to almost everything, and over time, that salt has silently raised our blood pressure. But by eating just 2/3 of a cup of spinach, we give our bodies nearly 600 milligrams of potassium, a powerful ally in keeping pressure under control. And let's not forget the antioxidants. Spinach contains compounds like lutein and quercetin, which protect our arteries from oxidative stress, the silent process that weakens blood vessels and sets the stage for heart disease. By neutralizing free radicals, these antioxidants help keep arteries flexible and resilient. Think of it as polishing and protecting the inside of your blood vessels so they can carry you through the years ahead. But here is something important to remember. While spinach is a treasure for the heart, we need balance. For those who have had kidney stones, spinach contains oxalates that may increase the risk. And for anyone on blood-thinning medication, its high vitamin K can interfere. That's why it's always best to check with your doctor before making big changes. Still, for most of us, spinach is a gift. Fresh in a salad, sautéed as a side dish, or blended into a smoothie, it adds life and strength to our meals. I want you to imagine this: holding a handful of spinach leaves, light and delicate, yet inside them lies the power to ease the strain on your heart, to lower your blood pressure, and to give you more time. Time to enjoy the people you love, time to live without fear. Too many people discovered too late that simple greens could have saved them years of suffering. Please don't be one of them. Start today. Now let's talk about something beautiful, something that stands out on the dinner table with its deep purple color: red cabbage. Many of us think of cabbage as a simple food, maybe something for a soup or salad, but few realize just how powerful this vegetable is when it comes to protecting the heart. 1 cup of raw chopped red cabbage gives us only about 28 calories, yet it is packed with vitamin C, vitamin K, vitamin B6, potassium, and even small amounts of minerals like iron and magnesium. In other words, it's nutrient-dense without weighing us down. But what makes red cabbage truly unique is its rich store of anthocyanins, the natural pigments that give it that vibrant purple hue. These anthocyanins aren't just for color. They are powerful antioxidants that calm inflammation inside our bodies and protect against the slow, hidden damage that leads to heart disease. In fact, studies have shown that the antioxidant levels in red cabbage are about 4.5 times higher than in green cabbage. That means with every bite of red cabbage, you're giving your arteries a deeper, stronger shield. And here's something remarkable. Research has found that women who ate anthocyanin-rich foods regularly experienced an 11 to 32% lower risk of heart attack compared to those who ate less. Just think about that. Nearly 1/3 lower risk simply by making purple vegetables a part of the diet. For someone over 60, that's not just a statistic. That could be the difference between facing a frightening hospital visit and enjoying another peaceful year with your family. But the benefits don't stop there. Red cabbage also provides fiber, which helps lower cholesterol, and potassium, which supports healthy blood pressure. Together, these nutrients form a team that works around the clock to keep your heart functioning at its best. I want you to picture this: a bowl of crunchy red cabbage slaw on your table. It's not just food, it's medicine, it's prevention, it's hope. Each crisp bite is like a gentle message to your arteries: stay strong, stay flexible, stay alive. I know many of you watching have lived long enough to see friends or loved ones taken suddenly by a heart attack. That fear is real, and it weighs heavy. But I want you to remember that nature has quietly placed remedies in front of us. Something as simple as red cabbage can help lighten that fear, replacing it with confidence and peace of mind. So the next time you're in the market and you see that purple head of cabbage, don't walk past it. Pick it up, bring it home, and know that with each meal, you're making a choice for life, for strength, and for more time with those you hold dear.
Now, let's turn up the heat. Literally. Chili peppers, those fiery little pods that many either love or avoid, hold within them a secret weapon for the heart. Their power comes from capsaicin, the compound that gives chili peppers their burning sensation. But beyond the spice, capsaicin is a gift, a natural protector for your cardiovascular system. Here's how it works. Capsaicin helps blood vessels open wider, a process called vasodilation. This means better blood flow, less strain on the heart, and more oxygen delivered where it's needed most. For someone over 60, that can mean fewer dizzy spells, less pressure pounding in the chest, and more ease in simple daily movements. And the science behind this is powerful. A major study published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology followed more than 22,000 people for 8 years. What they found was extraordinary. Those who ate chili peppers more than 4 times a week had a 34% lower risk of death from heart disease compared to those who rarely ate them. Think about that. A simple dietary choice, cutting the risk of a deadly heart event by 1/3. Chili peppers also influence cholesterol metabolism. Capsaicin encourages the body to break down fats more efficiently, reducing harmful LDL cholesterol, the type that clogs arteries and sets the stage for heart attacks. And just as important, chili peppers carry strong anti-inflammatory properties. Chronic inflammation is like a slow-burning fire inside the blood vessels, weakening them over time. Capsaicin helps put out that fire, protecting the heart and arteries from long-term damage. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but spicy food isn't for me. I don't like the burn. And that's okay. The beauty of chili peppers is that they can be used in many ways, added lightly to soups, stews, or sauces, where the heat is gentle, but the benefits remain. Picture this for a moment. A warm bowl of chili soup on your table, the flavor just right, and with every spoonful, your blood vessels relax, your circulation improves, and your heart beats a little more freely. It's not just comfort food, it's protective food. Of course, moderation matters. Too much spice can cause stomach discomfort for some, but in the right amount, chili peppers can be a flavorful ally against one of life's greatest threats. I want you to think of this. Something as small as a chili pepper, something that can fit in the palm of your hand, has the power to guard your heart against disease. Too many people only find out after a heart attack that they could have taken simple steps years earlier. Don't wait until it's too late. Now let's talk about a vegetable many of you already know and love: broccoli. It may look simple, something you've put on your plate for years, but when it comes to protecting your heart, broccoli is a quiet giant. What makes broccoli so powerful is its combination of antioxidants, fiber, and minerals that work together to reduce the very forces that wear the heart down: oxidative stress, inflammation, and high blood pressure. A single cup of cooked broccoli gives about 5 grams of fiber, enough to help lower cholesterol and keep your arteries clear. It also provides potassium and magnesium, 2 minerals the heart depends on to stay steady and strong. Potassium balances out sodium, helping to control blood pressure, while magnesium supports a steady heartbeat and keeps blood vessels functioning properly. But the research goes even deeper. In studies involving older women, those who ate more cruciferous vegetables like broccoli were found to have healthier arteries with less calcium buildup. That buildup, called arterial calcification, is one of the silent causes of heart attacks and strokes. Imagine the difference: arteries that stay flexible and open versus arteries that harden like stone over time. Choosing broccoli regularly can help keep your blood vessels young even as the years go by. Another study showed that when people ate soups made from cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, their systolic blood pressure dropped more significantly compared to those who ate soups made from root vegetables. That's not just theory, it's real, measurable impact. For someone over 60, lower blood pressure can mean fewer dizzy spells, less stress on the heart, and more confidence in daily life. Think of broccoli not just as a side dish, but as a true ally. Picture a plate of roasted broccoli. The edges crisp, the taste comforting, and with each bite, you're not only feeding your body, you're actively protecting your heart. Each floret is like a shield, pushing back against the silent forces that lead to heart disease. I know it may seem too simple, that something so ordinary could have such an extraordinary effect, but sometimes the answers really are right in front of us, on our plates. Too many people wait for a prescription bottle to fix their health, forgetting that food itself can be medicine. Don't let that regret be yours. Start with something as familiar, as accessible as broccoli, and let it carry you forward toward more years of vitality and peace of mind.
Let's move on to a vegetable that shines bright with its warm orange color. Pumpkin. For many, it brings back memories of autumn, family gatherings, and comfort. But beyond tradition, pumpkin and its seeds carry powerful protection for the heart. One of the greatest gifts pumpkin offers is its potassium. A single cup of cooked pumpkin can give you about 16% of your daily potassium needs, helping your body balance sodium and keep blood pressure in check. For anyone over 60, that balance is not just important, it can be life-saving, easing the constant pressure that wears down the heart. But the true secret of pumpkin may lie in its seeds. These small, crunchy seeds are rich in magnesium, a mineral that helps keep the heartbeat steady and prevents dangerous rhythm disturbances. Think of magnesium as the quiet conductor of your heart's orchestra. Without it, the rhythm can falter. And here's where science gives us hope. In a study published in Climacteric in 2011, women who consumed pumpkin seed oil experienced a rise in their HDL, the good cholesterol, and a drop in their diastolic blood pressure by 5 mmHg. That may sound like just a number, but for someone at risk of heart disease, it can mean the difference between a heart that strains and one that breathes easier. Beyond minerals, pumpkin is rich in beta-carotene and antioxidants that help stop the oxidation of LDL, the so-called bad cholesterol. By preventing LDL from hardening and clogging the arteries, pumpkin works quietly to keep your blood vessels open and flexible. Every spoonful of pumpkin soup or handful of roasted pumpkin seeds is like placing a protective shield over your heart. I want you to imagine this: holding a small handful of roasted pumpkin seeds in your palm. They may seem humble, almost too ordinary, but in reality, they are like a talisman for your heart, a gentle yet powerful reminder that protection does not always come from a pill bottle. Sometimes it comes from what nature has placed right in your hands. Too many people over 60 feel trapped, thinking only costly treatments can save them. But here lies a truth worth holding on to. With something as simple as pumpkin and its seeds, you can give your heart both strength and peace. And that choice is available to you today, at your table, with every meal you prepare. As we come to the end of this journey together, I want you to pause for a moment and think about what you've just discovered. 7 simple foods: tomatoes, spinach, red cabbage, chili peppers, broccoli, pumpkin, and their seeds. They are not exotic, they are not expensive, they are not locked away in a pharmacy. They are here,
in your kitchen, in your grocery store, waiting quietly for you to choose them. For too long, many people over 60 have been made to believe that health must come from pills or costly treatments. But today, you've learned something different, something powerful. Your everyday meals can be your medicine. A bowl of soup, a salad, a handful of seeds, these can calm blood pressure, reduce harmful cholesterol, keep arteries clear, and give your heart the strength to carry you through the years ahead. Science confirms it. Tomatoes guarding your arteries, spinach lowering blood pressure, red cabbage flooding your body with antioxidants, chili peppers improving circulation, broccoli keeping your arteries flexible, pumpkin and its seeds lifting the good cholesterol and steadying your heartbeat. Every one of these foods is a quiet ally, fighting for you in ways you may never have realized. But here's the truth that makes me ache. Too many people never make this choice. They keep eating the same way, hoping that somehow things will get better, when in reality, the clock is ticking, the arteries are hardening, and the heart is working harder than it should. I don't want that for you. I don't want you to look back one day with regret, wishing you had made the change when you still had time. Instead, I want you to hold on to this hope. You can change your story, starting today. And it does not take drastic steps. It begins with one choice, adding more of these heart-protective foods into your meals. Little by little, day by day, you give your heart what it needs to stay strong. So here is my heartfelt invitation to you. Start now. Add these foods to your shopping list. Try one new recipe this week. Share it with a friend or family member. Let your meals be not just nourishment, but protection, a daily act of love for your own life. And if this message spoke to you, if it gave you hope, then I ask you to help me spread it. Click the like button so more people can discover these truths. Subscribe to this channel so you never miss the simple, life-saving steps we share each week. And don't just listen. Join the conversation. Share in the comments which of these foods you already enjoy or which one you'll try first. Your words may encourage someone else to take that first step. You deserve a heart that is strong. You deserve peace of mind as you age. And you deserve to know that sometimes healing does not come from a prescription. It comes from the humble foods you place on your plate. Stay informed, stay healthy, stay hopeful. And remember, every bite can be a step toward a longer, stronger, more joyful life. I'll see you in the next video.